Welcome to this third of 5 videos on the TAP Solutions Sustainable Performance Framework. With me today, I've got Andi Ryland, CEO of TAP Solutions, and in this video, we're going to be exploring the third facet, which is high performance basics. Welcome, Anthony.
Hiya, Andy.
Could you tell us all about high performance basics? What is this facet truly about?
Okay, well, it's interesting. We're kind of halfway through the 5 videos now. And we've moved from the left-hand side of the model to the right-hand side of the model. So what's the significance there? Well, in the sustainable performance model, everything on the left-hand side looks at great, healthy workplace cultures. On the right-hand side, we're looking at the behaviors that create performance. So that is why this facet is called high performance basics. First of all, what is performance? Okay, well, you might think, hang on a minute, I work in an organization that doesn't produce output, revenue, etc. So how can we have performance? Well, performance is anything, any action or goal that you are doing that is trying to fulfill the mission of your organization. So it doesn't matter what you do, your organization exists for a purpose, and fulfilling that is performance. Achieving that is performance. So, what are these basics? Well, there's two components under Facet 3. The first one is creating ownership, and the second one is high performance teaming. Creating ownership comes first because what you need to do is get people to care about what they do. If you're going to have performance, you need to people to somehow connect with what they're trying to do. So there's something here about opening up the motivation of someone and attaching it to the organization's motivation. So that's creating ownership. High performance teaming, to me, is actually, well, as an individual, I own this and I'll deliver it. Well, what's the mechanism of a group of people coming together to be able to own a team objective and deliver that? So this high performance basics is all about really ownership from my point of view, an individual level and a collective level.
Ah, fantastic. I was kind of curious, as you look at the sustainable performance framework with its 5 facets, why is this individual facet so important within it?
Yeah, well, down the line, when we get to the fifth video, I'll be talking to you about accountability. And accountability is how we make sure we have performance. To have accountability, first of all, you need to have ownership. So if you want people to feel like they're responsible for the work and everything, it's the kind of the before the act input into people's roles. Accountability is the after the fact. How did you do? So we need accountability, we need ownership if we're going to have accountability. That's why it sits at facet 3 on the journey to sustainable performance. It was William Kahn who said that actually, if we're going to have ownership, we need to feel trusted, we need to feel respected, and we need to feel fairly treated. And that's why this kind of facet comes after a lot of that stuff around well-being and psychological safety, because I need to have a level of psychological safety to actually feel like I'm trusted and respected. And what this then does, it opens up our feeling of motivation and we start attaching our own personal needs to the needs of the organization. And if, as an organization, we can get people to, through trust and everything, open up and connect our needs together, that's when the ownership spark happens. And this is where people like Daniel Pink and Desi and Ryan talk about intrinsic motivation models are so important for organization because it's that what is the dynamo in you that you can attach to the goal of the organization. So it's about the motivation of individuals attaching to that. And that's why we talk so much about employee engagement and motivation in organizations, because it forms this basis of performance. And when you're looking at teams, was it Douglas Smith who said 1 + 1 = 3? He came out with that thing that actually individuals, when we bring them together, perform better than the sum of the parts. So thinking about all that stuff around motivation, if you can then have a team gelling through its own motivation, then that actually accelerates performance. And we know that works. Because if it didn't work, why would we have all our organizations set up as teams? We would have everyone working individually. So we know there's something about teams that creates high performance.
Great, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I was curious, you shared a lot of ideas there and thoughts around what it is and why is it important. What could be some pragmatic takeaways for listeners around taking into work in these ideas around high performance basics? What would be your top tips?
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff on the right-hand side, the performance side, comes under line management and how we set up the environment in work. And I think one of the key things here, if you want people to have ownership, Bessie and Ryan and Daniel Pink talks about autonomy. So we need to make sure we can delegate whole tasks to people so they feel like they can look at something end to end and feel autonomous how they go about doing their work. We don't micromanage. And by doing that, that gives people motivation. They own something, and therefore that level of ownership means that they'll deliver it. So we need to make sure we delegate well. Um, if we want teams to own something or individuals to own something, and you have a problem, as a line manager, it's not your responsibility to solve that problem. Why don't you give it to the team to solve the problem? Because if the team comes up with the answer, there's a lot of research that shows that actually they will feel more bought into delivering that solution because they were part of coming up with a solution. They've attached that motivation to it. So delegating well, giving autonomy, letting the team solve the issue. And then from a high performance team point of view, there's also giving the team a purpose. It was Stephen Covey. I've mentioned him once already in these videos. Stephen Covey talks about his north and how we should all align towards the organization's north. And I think as a team, if we can story tell the narrative to help people all align in the same direction, you're going to have efficiency, effectiveness, you're going to have great teaming going on. So storytelling is probably the other thing I would think about line managers. How do you make sure you break down the mission of the organization into something that's relevant for your team? So all that kind of happens. But of course, teams have to have that working well with others from Facet 2, psychological safety from Facet 1. Those workplace culture elements need to be in place before we look at the high performance basics.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Anthony Ryland, CEO of TAP Solutions, for talking through this third facet, high performance basics of the Sustainable Performance Framework. Next time we come together, we'll be looking at the fourth area, overcoming barriers to performance. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for listening, the audience.